Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I want to go over something that I've discussed in a lot of my bike videos, which is that I don't believe that New York real estate is ever going to come down in price for a number of reasons. Many people think that the real estate is going to come down in price because by law you're not allowed to actually make money out of the real estate here depending on the business that you're in, that there can be a shutdown at any given time, that there can be riots, there can be looting, that 500,000 plus people have left the city, that with the work from home phenomenon there's not really going to be a reason for people to pay $90 a square foot to be in an office in this congested area anymore. There's a number of different reasons. But lots of people are looking at what makes it worth it to a buyer. They're not thinking about what actually matters when selling something or leasing something, which is, does the person selling it even care if it sells? And in my experience, when it comes to New York City real estate, that answer is no, for a number of reasons I will speculate on here. When I first started looking for a store in 2011, I found 186 First Avenue after about 6 months of looking. Many of the spaces that were vacant in 2011 were still vacant when I outgrew that space in 2019 and started looking for a new store. There were many stores that from 2011 to 2019 had the for lease sign in them and had not had any tenants there over the last 8 years. Several of those spaces were places where I actually offered them their asking price. They were just being very picky. It doesn't matter if no one is willing to bid up the price of a space if the seller doesn't care. If I need to sell something, I'll keep lowering the price until I eventually get rid of it. But if I don't care if it sells, then I can just sit here and say this set of tweezers costs $1 million and it'll sit on my desk never selling for the next 20 years because I don't care if it sells or not. And that's a part of New York real estate that most people don't understand. In most other areas of the country, real estate is a market. If people don't want to pay a certain amount for a piece of real estate, the price will eventually go down because the person that owns it either wants to lease it or wants to sell it. They don't simply hold on to it indefinitely as if it is some sort of sentimental baseball card that you got when you were a kid. But that's the way it works in the city. And I'd like to just demonstrate with a couple of listings from loopnet.com that this is sadly the case so far. So the space that I occupy right now, it's 2,350 square feet. It comes out to $12,500 a month in rent. That comes out to $66.66 per square feet. Very lucky number. Now, let's just take a look at some of these spaces that I found on LoopNet. So here is one space. It's a lovely fine dining restaurant here, Chelsea Fine Food. 2,300 square feet, $99.13 per square foot per year. That's going to come out to about $19,000 a month. Actually, yeah, it says right over here, $19,000 a month, so my math in my head wasn't that far off. And that's assuming that they're not lying. You have to keep that in mind. So this costs 33% more than what I currently pay for this one, foot for foot about. And that's assuming they're not lying. And you have to keep in mind that for every single space that I saw, every single one screwed around with the space to some extent. I visit 2,500 square foot, I measure 17. I visit 1,800 square foot, I measure 850. They all did this. So even if they're telling the truth, this is 30% more than what I have right now, post-pandemic pricing. And trust me, having a space that's, a large garage for $12,500 a month ain't exactly a super steal there. But this is what it costs. And if you take a look, you're not even going to get pictures. They're not going to show you the inside of this, because if you see the inside of this, you're not going to want to pay $19,000 for it. It's some dumpy-ass old building with a little deli there. And they want $19,000. Let's move on. So over here we have, what do we got in this listing? This is 3,000 square foot of retail space. This is in the touristy area. This is on Broadway, which is, a nice bunch of shops and stuff in Times Square area. And this is not actually Times Square. This is Penn Station, but it's near Times Square. And just for that alone, it is $300 per square foot. So let's just do some math there. So they claim that this is 3,000 square feet, right? So 3,000 square feet times $300 per square foot divided by 12 comes out to $75,000 a month. This space is about 20% larger than my $12,500 space. Post-pandemic pricing, they want $75,000 a month for 3,000 square feet. Just try to imagine that. Imagine that. And if you look to see what the pictures are of it, again, this is all you get. They're not going to post pictures that actually are worthwhile because, you know, you're only paying $75,000 a month. What are you, crazy? You want better pictures, you got to pay $100,000. Now, there are many people that speculate on why this is the case. Why is it in the rest of the country, real estate is an actual free market, whereas in New York City, nobody really seems to care if things are even remotely priced normally, even when nobody's coming to snatch these places up. Again, as I said, and I will keep reiterating from the beginning of the video, many places that I tried to rent in 2011 and 2019 still had signs in the window for lease. When I go back in Google Maps or I check out Yelp or Google Places, no businesses were there for 8 years. They don't care. And there's this one article here, and there's many like it from New York Magazine, talking about how New York real estate is the new Swiss bank account. And the thing that you got to understand is that a lot of people use New York City to wash their dirty money. They don't want to even really make a profit on their investment. They simply want an asset that cannot be seized by their government if they get in trouble. They want an asset that like stays there, that actually real estate. You know, it actually exists. It's real. It's not money in a bank account. It's not something in their country. It's very easy to launder money through New York City real estate and to stay fairly anonymous in the process of doing so. So there are lots of people that probably buy New York City real estate with dirty money, and then they don't care if it ever rents, ever. They actually don't want to rent it, because then if you rent it, you have to deal with tenants, and you have to deal with tenants screwing things up, and you have to deal with tenant issues, and they complain if something doesn't work. And like, they're not really even looking to make a profit. They don't care. It's going to, you know, the value of the property is going to appreciate as time goes on anyway. They're not really even looking to pay a mortgage over the time that the property exists. They just want the money to not disappear. So they don't care if it ever gets rented out, ever. And that's probably what's happening with a lot of this real estate. They don't care if it ever rents. They don't care if the area is destroyed because all the businesses that used to employ the people who live here no longer exist and cannot employ those people. They don't care if it creates joblessness. They don't care if it creates blight. They don't care if it ruins opportunity, because they have a place to wash their money. But it's a game that I'm not really interested in playing into the future, because I know the way this is going to go. I know that that another 500,000 people could leave, another freaking 3 million people could leave, and these garbage spaces are still going to cost $75,000 a month, because the individuals who own them don't care. And honestly, I'm going to have a really big smile on my face if the day comes where everybody in New York City leaves, goes to normal parts of the country, and all of these individuals that decide, I'm going to park 3 million or 10 million or 20 million or 8 million or 2 million into a building because that's going to see a safe store of my dirty money, I'm going to be really happy when there's legitimately no one left that they can liquidate it to, because they were all playing this stupid game, and there's not going to be someone left to liquidate it to, so that when they actually go to sell the building that they decided to hide $2 or $5 million of dirty money in, that it sells for like $20,000. I'm going to laugh when that happens, because this kind of stuff really does ruin the city. There are blogs like Evie Grieve where it, you know, is what it is. It's grieving for the East Village when there's all the businesses and stuff that made the neighborhood what it is are gone. And a lot of the people that talk about the things that make people leave New York City or make it difficult to run a business here, I don't see this mentioned as often as it should be mentioned. That New York real estate, and there's people that wrote books about how to do this, is that it's a place to wash dirty money. And it's one of the reasons that the real estate is as high as it is. I'm going to dare go and theorize that many places purposely ask for a stupid amount of money, knowing that no one's ever going to rent it, so that they could say, see, look, I'm not buying this building to hide dirty money. I want to rent it out, but no one wants to pay the asking market price. And that's why when I'm speaking to real estate agents, one of the things that I try to suss out in the beginning is, do you actually want to rent this property? Are you looking to rent this property, or is this just there so that it can look like you want to rent it when you don't? Because if you do, then we can talk about what's fair. If you don't want to rent the property and you're asking for $200 a square foot, I'm not going to waste my time negotiating back and forth with you because you don't care. Because there are some brokers that say, well, look at the market price. Look what everybody else wants. Like, I don't care what everybody else wants because they're not even trying to rent it. Why do I care? This is not how this works. But in this particular part of the country, this is how it works. I'm kind of rambling now, so I'm going to cut the video short before I continue this too long. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.